So what actually happens? So you facilitate these conversations and you facilitate the space for these conversations. What actually happens when you bring people with differing perspectives into a room? Bring us into what that experience is like.
Number one, it's very uncomfortable. And I mean, to the point of, as you know, and I don't moderate them anymore, but I moderated the first like 35 or whatever it was. But as a moderator, people say you can cut it, you can cut the
Tension with a knife.
tension with a knife.
Mm-hmm.
When we bring up the subjects when it comes to racial equity and race and different things like that, and you have a room full of, where people are white, and then you also have a room, people are black, and you bring these things up, you can feel it,
Yeah.
right? You can feel how uncomfortable people are. And I think what we try to really do is, like, one of the things that I really try to do is make sure everyone feels safe in the room, right? And we talk a lot about that early on because, you know, I also feel like on the other end of that, and the reason we do that is because I feel like on the other end of that, we have this thing where, um, and I'll just get as an example. Early on, we had this chart where it was a chart where it was, two lines on the end and one line in the middle, and on one end it was being anti-racist, on the other end it was racist, and then there was dots, black dots all over the chart, and then there was an arrow going from racist to anti-racist. So the point of that is to say, like, what we try to do in these groups is, like, it doesn't matter where a person is starting from, as long as their attitude is moving towards anti-racist, right? As long as they're on that journey, it doesn't matter where they're at on that journey. And that's to try to allow people to say what they need to say,
Yeah.
right? Because I think what we do as Black people, I think one of the most detrimental things that we do is that when a person is trying to move towards being an ally, right? And they say the wrong thing, as Black people, we shout them down, right? And we make them feel uncomfortable. And then what do? They recoil. They go back to, you know what? See, I shouldn't have done that. I'm just going to go back and I'm never doing that again, right? And we have a tendency to do that. And these are people that are trying to be on that journey towards being allies. And if we would bring them in instead of shouting them down, we'd have many more allies that are helping us, on this journey towards getting, ending racism. So that's kind of, we try to make the environment very comfortable so people feel like they can say what they need to say. We actually have a portion where people talk. We try to get a person, a Black person and a white person talking together. And just for reference, the reason Sister Cities Project, of course, you can't focus 100% on the relationship between Black and white people because there are different people, within San Diego County or throughout the, United
Mm-hmm.
States. But the way I see it is, for the United States in general, specifically, I call it the original sin is slavery, right?
Yeah.
The original sin is slavery. And until we do something about that original relationship between Black and white people, I feel like, it's hard to move other things, right? But if we can ever reconcile that relationship, I think that just automatically trickles down to everyone else, because now we're just talking about true equity, right? We're talking about true equality. If that relationship can be mended. So that's why we've started, and I feel like that's like the hardest place to start in America, right? So that's why I talk a lot about that. But we have these different situations where people talk. And I think at the end of this, I can give you countless stories of how, people have become friends, right? People that you would never have, imagined would be friends, like a woman that lives in Solana Beach with a woman that lives in Southeast San Diego. And then what happens is, she's helping her with her business, right? She's introducing her to a new network, to new people. Her business is thriving just because of this relationship, right? And this person's teaching them about this culture and the resilience of, people. I think it's a beautiful connection, and we've seen it numerous times if people will just get in the room with one another.